I came home early from a business trip. Flight got canceled. Bad weather over Dallas. I didn't even tell her I was coming. Just wanted to surprise her. Instead, I walked into our kitchen and saw my wife sitting on the counter, legs wrapped around a man in a neon jumpsuit and steel-toe boots, our apartment complex's garbage collector. Her head snapped toward me. She didn't even flinch. My name's Eric. 34. I work for a construction supplier, mostly boring logistics stuff. I travel about once a month, usually to Texas or Missouri, to meet vendors. Nothing exciting. Just enough distance to remind me what I thought I had waiting at home. Her name's Danielle. Blonde with dark roots, 28, always wore fake lashes even to bed. She worked reception at a local dental office, part-time. Said she wasn't built for full-time stress. I never questioned it. I paid the rent, covered her car, did the groceries. She picked out the curtains. That was our system. We've been married almost 4 years. No kids. I wanted them, but she always said someday, like she was still thinking about it. I came home early on a Thursday. My flight back from Dallas got canceled, but there was a standby on an earlier one. I didn't tell Danielle. I thought it'd be a cute surprise. She always used to say she missed me more than I missed her. I unlocked the door and stepped inside quietly. No lights on in the living room. Just the faint glow of the kitchen. That's when I heard it. Not music. Not TV. Breathing. Low. Rhythmic. Then a wet sound. Then a laugh of hers. I moved slow. My suitcase still in hand. Turned the corner. And froze. Danielle. Perched on the granite counter like some kind of throne. A man standing between her legs, arms around her waist. He was shirtless, sweating. His fluorescent yellow pants were pulled at his ankles. Work boots still on. Trash tattoos crawling up his neck. His face I recognized. Mike. He worked waste management in our building. I'd nodded at him dozens of times. Once gave him a bottle of water in the summer when it was 100 degrees outside. I thought he was a decent guy. She saw me first. Didn't scream. Didn't panic. Just smiled. Hi, baby, she said. Back already? Mike jumped and stumbled to the side, nearly slipping on the tile. Danielle pulled her shirt down lazily, like it was a chore. I didn't say a word. I set my suitcase down. She hopped off the counter and walked toward me, completely unbothered. You should have texted, she said. I would have cleaned up. I wanted to scream. Wanted to punch something. Instead, I just stood there, watching her wipe her mouth with a kitchen towel. Relax, she said, smirking. It's not like it's personal. That's the moment I realized. She wasn't sorry. She was proud. I didn't sleep that night. She showered, made herself a smoothie, and sat on the couch scrolling through her phone like it was any other evening. I stood in the hallway like a ghost, watching her pretend the last few hours hadn't happened. Eventually, I walked over and sat on the edge of the couch. She didn't even look up. Danielle, I said. My voice cracked. Why? She locked her phone and finally looked at me. And then she laughed. Are you serious? That's what you want to know. I nodded. She leaned back, smiled wide, and said, because he's not boring, Eric. Because when I talk to him, he listens. When he touches me, it's like he actually wants to. You? You're always tired, or working, or stuck in your spreadsheets. But Mike, I said, struggling to breathe, he collects garbage for a living. So, she shot back. He's honest about it. He doesn't pretend to be something he's not. You act like the fact that you wear button-downs and fill out purchase orders makes you better than everyone. Newsflash, you're not. I stared at her. I never thought I was better than you. She smiled again, cruel this time. That's the problem, Eric. You never thought anything. You just accepted me. Every lie I fed you, every excuse. You just took it. You're like a golden retriever. Loyal. Blind. Always waiting. I felt like I was falling inside myself. Like she had opened my chest and dumped out everything soft and private. I would have forgiven you, I said quietly, if you told me the truth. She stood up and walked to the kitchen. I heard the fridge open. Of course you would have, she said. Because you're you. And I knew that. The worst part? She wasn't even angry. She wasn't panicked or scared of consequences. She was calm. Amused. You know, she continued, Mike said something funny the other day. He said I must have hypnotized you. That no one could be this blind and this trusting. I told him, oh, Eric's not blind. He just really wants to believe I'm the person I pretended to be. She turned and looked at me, sipping orange juice straight from the carton. That's the saddest part, Eric. You still love me, don't you? I couldn't answer. You do, she said softly. Even now. Even after all this. She wasn't wrong. I hated that she wasn't wrong. That night, I slept on the floor of our walk-in closet. I didn't want to see her face. Didn't want to hear her breathing. But in the dark, I kept replaying it all, what she said, what she did, how she looked at me like I was pathetic. And the worst part? She was right. I still loved her. Even while she destroyed me. I spent the next week pretending to be exactly what she thought I was. Weak. Quiet. Defeated. I went to work like nothing happened. Ate cereal in silence. Folded laundry she left in the dryer. Nodded when she mentioned going out with friends, even though we both knew what that meant. And every time she laughed on the phone or came home late with smeared lipstick and someone else's cologne clinging to her clothes, I just smiled and said, "Hey, hope you had a good time." She thought I'd given up. That's exactly what I wanted her to think. The first step of my plan wasn't revenge. It was documentation. I went to Best Buy and bought 2 mini audio recorders, disguised as USB chargers. One in the bedroom, one in the living room. I installed a $39 camera inside a fake carbon monoxide detector, right across from the front door. I didn't care about catching her in the act again. I already had that. What I needed was proof she was doing it willingly, under our roof, while still married. So when she tried to come for my savings, my retirement account, or my name, I'd have a wall of fire waiting. Second step? I started changing passwords. Quietly. One by one. Online banking. Streaming accounts. Amazon. Even the thermostat. Everything we shared? I either locked her out or added 2-factor authentication that pinged my phone. She didn't notice. Too busy texting Mike and laughing at me in the kitchen. But the most important step was this. I opened a new checking account at a different bank. Transferred half my paycheck there. The rest stayed in our joint account, just enough to make it look like nothing changed. Meanwhile, I started printing receipts. Creating a private file. Each time she used our shared card to pay for drinks, gifts, rides, anything I knew wasn't for us, I made a note. Because in my state, proven misuse of joint assets during infidelity? That's grounds to block alimony. I didn't tell a soul, not even my brother. I just let her live her lie. Let her parade her betrayal through our apartment like it was a fashion statement. One night she came home with a greasy paper bag and said, "Mike brought food. You want any?" "No, actually, don't answer. It's too good for you." I smiled and said, "Thanks, but I'm good." Then I made a note of the bag, the charge, the timestamp. She laughed as she walked away. "You're not even mad anymore. You're just nothing." She thought she won. She thought I was buried. But I wasn't. I was building the coffin. It started with the ring. Her engagement ring. The one I paid for with 2 years of savings, back when I believed in things like soulmates and loyalty. She hadn't worn it in months. Said it didn't go with her new style. I took it from the drawer while she was out with Mike. The next morning, I listed it for sale, discreetly, through a private jeweler a friend recommended. They paid in cash. No paper trail. Then I canceled her gym membership. She didn't notice right away, too busy getting her steps in with the trash collector behind the loading dock. That was fine. I wanted her focused on him. Distracted. Because the real blow was something she never saw coming. I filed for divorce. But not like most men do. I filed quietly, through Ben Hurley, a low-profile lawyer with a reputation for being calm, cold, and vicious when it counts. We didn't serve her right away. No. We waited. Built a folder. Laid out every transaction, every lie. Photos. Voice memos. Calendar entries. I even had a screenshot of a text she sent Mike that said, "He'll never leave. He's spineless." I could cheat in front of him, and he'd say sorry for walking in. We printed that one big. Put it right behind the cover page. And then I made my first public move. I went to our building manager. Showed him a few clips from the hallway camera. Mike entering our unit in uniform during the day. Danielle kissing him at the door, once even in the stairwell. The manager's face went pale. "Are you saying he's doing this during his shift?" I nodded. "On your cameras too, probably. Just thought you should know." Next day, Mike got pulled from our building rotation. Danielle came home furious. "They moved him to another route," she shouted. "Somebody snitched." "Was it you?" I just looked at her. Why would I care? She narrowed her eyes. "Right. You're too weak to even make a phone call." Then she stormed into the bedroom. I opened my laptop and checked the tracker on her phone. Still active. Still syncing. She hadn't changed the password since last year. I saw a message she sent to her friend that night. "Eric's still just there. Like wallpaper." I swear he doesn't even breathe unless I let him. I saved that too. 3 days later, she got served. In front of the building. Right as she was walking in from the parking lot. Arms full of dry cleaning and iced coffee. Mike wasn't there to help her. She read the documents, standing on the concrete with the sun in her eyes. She laughed at first. Then she saw the attachments. She went quiet. Didn't come upstairs for almost an hour. When she did, I was sitting at the kitchen table. She didn't say anything. Just dropped her keys on the counter. Looks like you found your backbone, she muttered. I didn't answer. Because I wasn't done yet. Not even close. She didn't speak to me for 3 full days. Not a word. Not a glance. She moved around the apartment like a ghost who owned the place. Slammed doors harder. Let water run longer. Spilled coffee on the carpet and didn't bother cleaning it up. Every little thing she did said, you may have filed first, but I'm still in control. And I was starting to believe her. Then came the email. From my employer's HR. Subject, complaint received, internal investigation initiated. Inside, a claim that I had installed surveillance equipment in my home without consent, recorded private conversations, and potentially violated domestic digital privacy laws. It didn't take a genius to figure out where that came from. She had found one of the recorders, the one in the bedroom, and she knew exactly what to do with it. I met with HR the next day. Sat across from a woman in glasses who read from a printed sheet like she was checking off my obituary. Eric, were you aware that your wife filed a formal complaint? No, I lied. But we are going through a divorce. She nodded, but her face didn't soften. Regardless of the personal context, the nature of her allegations, especially involving covert recording, are serious. She placed a manila folder on the table. Inside? Photos of the charger device. A printed message Danielle had sent them. I'm scared to be in my own home. He watches me when I sleep. I couldn't breathe. She wasn't just trying to win in court anymore. She was trying to ruin my name. By the end of that week, I was placed on administrative leave. No pay. No timeline. Just a polite email saying, we'll be in touch. When I got home that night, she was in the kitchen on the phone, laughing. Something about wine and finally getting space to think. I stood there, watching her like I was trapped in someone else's life. When she hung up, she looked at me and smiled. You okay? She asked sweetly. I didn't answer. She leaned against the fridge and said, you know, I told them you had a whole folder. I told them you probably watched me every day I was home. Maybe even when I showered. My hands clenched. I never. Oh, I know, she cut in. But they don't. And that's what matters, isn't it? I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab her and shake the truth out of her. But all I said was, you're really doing this? She smiled. Of course I am. You think this is war? No, Eric. This is art. And you? You're just the canvas. She walked past me, slowly, letting her shoulder brush mine. Then whispered, still think you're winning? And for the first time since this started, I didn't know the answer. Because I was broke, suspended, legally cornered, and living in a home where every sound felt like a threat. She'd turned me into a villain. And the world was starting to believe her. I stopped playing fair. She wanted war? I gave her one. But not the kind with shouting and broken things. No. That's what she wanted, drama, chaos, proof I was unstable. Instead, I gave her silence. And structure. Every move from that point on was calculated. Step 1. I called Ben, my lawyer. Told him about the HR complaint. He didn't panic. He just asked, did you ever film her in a private space like a bathroom or without reasonable assumption of shared access? No, I said. Only common areas. Kitchen, living room, front door. Good. Then we're still in the game. Step 2. I filed a countermotion for temporary restraining protections. Not against her, but against her behavior. Ben reworded it perfectly: unlawful sabotage of professional standing, intentional defamation, interference with livelihood. We didn't expect the court to approve it. We just wanted it on record. So if she went any further, it would all trace back to her. Then came step 3. I sent a message, not to her, but to Mike. Yes, him. I found his personal number online. Local junk hauling service he freelanced for had his cell listed. I didn't threaten him. I offered him $200 cash to answer one question on video. He agreed, quick. The next day, in a gas station parking lot, I recorded him saying the following. Yeah, I didn't know she was still married. She told me the guy moved out. I wouldn't have done any of that if I'd known. I'm not proud of it, man. Sorry. Then he added, off script, but better than I hoped. She's got issues, dude. I mean, She laughs when she lies. That's not normal. I blurred his face, changed his voice pitch slightly, and sent it to my lawyer with a subject line. Witness statement, unprompted. Now I had two things. Evidence that she was misrepresenting our marital status to third parties. Confirmation from her lover that he was deceived, which, in my state, counts as moral misconduct and asset division. That same week, her employer called her in. Not because I talked to them, I didn't, but because someone, not me, anonymously forwarded them a folder titled Conduct Unbecoming Danielle M. Inside, screenshots of her text with Mike during work hours. Images of her bragging about skipping out early. One text said, LOL, the doc leaves at 3 anyway. I just fake busy for another hour and sneak out. Easy paycheck. She came home that day rattled. Didn't speak. Didn't smirk. Just paced. She knew something shifted. And then, as if life wanted to stamp it in bold, I got a call from HR. Eric, after a full review, we found no legal violations. Your leave is lifted, effective immediately. Just like that, I was back. She watched me put on a clean shirt the next morning and asked, You're going to work? I looked her in the eye and said, Yeah, some of us still have jobs. I walked out before she could speak, and I swear I heard her drop something behind me. I should have known she wasn't done. The silence was too long. 2 full days without snide remarks, without slamming doors, without fake perfume and late-night showers. She was planning something. I came home Thursday night to find her gone. No note. No message. Her purse missing. Half the clothes in the closet, too. For a second, I actually felt relief. Maybe she gave up. Maybe it was over. I went to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and that's when I saw the envelope, sitting neatly on the table. My name on it. In her handwriting. I opened it. Inside, a printed statement from a new law firm. Not her divorce attorney. Criminal defense. Attached to it? A formal affidavit from Danielle, dated that same day. In it, she claimed she'd found a hidden folder on our home computer labeled Control Files. She said I had threatened to release sensitive photos if she didn't behave and had used manipulative tactics to control her every movement. She described me as emotionally unstable, paranoid, and digitally obsessed. And at the bottom, she signed a statement requesting the county to consider pressing charges for coercion, stalking, and electronic harassment. I stared at the pages, numb. I hadn't done any of that. I hadn't even threatened her once. But to the outside world, this was her laying the groundwork. Then my phone buzzed. It was a message from a blocked number. A video. Danielle, sitting in a parked car, fake tears rolling down her cheeks. I just want to feel safe, she said, voice trembling. I want to live without fear. He's always watching. I can't sleep, can't eat. He even knows when I breathe. She turned the camera to the empty passenger seat. I don't know who I am anymore. It was time-stamped, shared from a burner. I sat there, heart pounding, trying to understand how far she was willing to go. This wasn't divorce anymore. This was a setup. She was building a case to have me arrested, to make me the villain in a story she was rewriting from scratch. And I couldn't fight back, not yet. Not publicly. One wrong move and the unstable label sticks. Then called that night. She's trying to bait you. She wants you to snap, to text something angry, to give her that final piece. So what do? I asked. Nothing. Let me handle the counters. But you? You disappear. Online. Physically. Everything. Make her chase a ghost. So I did. I wiped my social media. I disabled our shared home devices. I moved into a furnished month-to-month studio across town. No text. No announcement. Gone. Let her tell her lies to the air. And while she was busy framing a fantasy, I dug deeper. Because she made one mistake. She printed that affidavit on her old work printer, and it still had tracking metadata. Guess who accessed the file before she submitted it? Her new boyfriend. And guess what else I found? A whole folder of shared files in a hidden drive containing drafts, edited versions, fake text logs, instructions. She hadn't written the affidavit alone. He helped her build the lie. And now, I had them both. They thought I was gone, that I'd disappeared into shame, too scared to defend myself. But I wasn't gone. I was hunting. The fake affidavit she submitted? The one claiming I was some kind of digital stalker? It had a creation path buried in the file metadata. Ben's tech guy pulled it in minutes. It read, /users/Ronald P/desktop, Danielle _affidavit_draft 3.docs. Ronald P. Her new boyfriend. Not Mike the garbage guy. No, she upgraded. This one worked IT at a mid-sized law firm, the same one that had helped her review my evidence. And now I had proof he was involved in manufacturing a legal document designed to frame me. We printed the metadata sheet, attached screenshots of the draft versions. Yes, he left the old ones in the cloud, amateur move, and paired them with a comparison of her final submission. It was word-for-word identical. Forgery. Conspiracy to defame. Possible tampering with official legal records. We filed a motion the next morning. Ben walked it straight into the judge's clerk's office with a quiet smile. 2 days later, we got the call. The court will reopen evidentiary hearings. Effective immediately. Danielle had to appear. And this time, she wouldn't be in control. That night, I made my real move. I created a secure anonymous email account and sent a single message to Ronald's law firm's compliance officer. Subject: unauthorized use of firm resources for outside legal conflict, urgent. Body: please see attached metadata file. This document, created on a device owned by your firm, was used to fabricate evidence in an unrelated legal matter. The individual named Ronald P. was not party to this case, yet appears to have drafted legal material for submission. You may want to review internal policy before this surfaces publicly. Attached were the PDFs. I didn't need to fake anything. The truth was ugly enough. By morning, Ronald was suspended. By evening, Danielle knew. She showed up outside my new place, no warning, no message. Just started banging on the door like a storm. "Eric," she shouted. "You set him up. You're doing this to hurt me." I didn't answer. I watched through the peephole as she screamed, paced, cried. Then she stopped, and she whispered something I'll never forget. "You think you're winning now, but you still love me. That's your weakness." She left, but I knew she was unraveling. The affidavit was under investigation. Her boyfriend was on probation. Her narrative was crumbling, not because I exposed it with rage, but because I waited. Patiently, quietly, precisely. And now? The court had ordered her phone data to be reviewed. Not just for content, but for authenticity, which meant they were looking for evidence tampering. If they found doctored messages, fabricated screenshots, or altered call logs, she wouldn't just lose the divorce. She'd face criminal charges. And that was justice. I walked into the courtroom that morning expecting the scales to finally tip. We had the metadata, the device logs, the boyfriend's suspension. We had everything lined up, like dominoes. All we needed was one signature from the judge to force a digital forensic review of her affidavit and her phone. But Danielle showed up with a new lawyer. And this one? He was good. Smooth, gray suit, expensive glasses, calm voice with just the right level of pity. "Your Honor," he said, "we're prepared to fully cooperate. But we have a motion to delay the evidentiary hearing. My client is undergoing significant mental and emotional distress due to threats, job loss, and harassment." He slid a folder across the table. Inside, a new affidavit, claiming she had no idea Ronald helped draft the previous version, claiming he acted alone, trying to protect her during a fragile state, claiming she never approved his actions and that he misrepresented himself as authorized. It was brilliant. All of it was designed to cut the cord between them. She threw him under the bus before the ink on their text messages had dried. And the judge? He bought it. He didn't throw out our evidence. But he delayed the ruling, said he needed time to review the new materials, said Danielle would remain under court protection until next hearing. Translation? No consequences yet. No perjury charge. No fraud ruling. No sanctions. Danielle walked out of that courtroom practically floating, not smiling, but composed, like she'd just dodged a train by a single inch and couldn't wait to tell someone about it. Ben turned to me as we left and said, "She's buying time. She knows the walls are still closing in. But she found one last window. Don't chase her through it. Be patient." I nodded, but I felt that old frustration boiling back up. She lied. She faked evidence. She let another man take the fall for her plan. And the system gave her another lifeline. That night, I went home and poured myself a drink I hadn't touched in weeks. Then I opened my laptop, checked the backup drive. All the files were still there. All the texts, the GPS logs, the call history, and one new file. It was a voice memo auto-generated from her phone backup, a private one. She must have recorded it for herself. I clicked play. Danielle's voice came through, soft and low. "If this ever gets out, I'll say he made me do it. That Ronald pressured me. That I was scared. I just need a few more weeks. Once the ruling's in, they can't touch me. Then it's over. I sat still for a long time. That was the but. That one moment where arrogance slipped. Where she confessed everything, not to anyone else, just to herself. But now I had it. And next time? There would be no delay. I printed the transcript. Word for word. Her voice. Her plan. Her arrogance. Her belief that no one could ever pin it on her. Ben filed it under supplemental evidence, and this time, we included the audio itself. No paraphrasing. No context needed. Just Danielle, whispering into her phone like the whole world was already hers. Once the ruling's in, they can't touch me. Then it's over. But it wasn't over. The court date came fast. This time, the judge was different. Colder. Firmer. Less patient. He asked one question only. Ms. M., is this your voice in the recording? Danielle didn't speak for 6 full seconds. Then, I don't recall. Ben stood. Your Honor, we can verify the audio is extracted directly from the phone she submitted to the court. Same device ID. Same metadata. The judge nodded. In that case, we will proceed to a fraud review and contempt hearing. Ms. M., your temporary protection orders are suspended and asset negotiations will pause until this is resolved. She didn't look at me. She didn't speak at all. She left the courtroom that day with no lawyer beside her. He'd quietly withdrawn representation an hour later. 3 days passed. On the 4th day, I heard a knock. I opened the door to see her. No makeup. Hoodie. Shaking hands. She didn't say a word. Just walked in. I could have stopped her. I didn't. She stood in the middle of my living room, hands twitching at her sides like she didn't know where to place the guilt. I lost my job, she whispered. They called me after the file went public. I said nothing. I can't afford my lawyer anymore. Ronald won't talk to me. He blocked me. Still nothing. Her voice cracked. They're saying I could face charges. That I might not be able to practice again. That I could get jail time. She looked up at me, eyes red. Then she dropped to her knees. Not dramatic. Just broken. Please don't submit that last piece, she said. Please don't finish it. I'll give you everything. The apartment. The money. The name. You can even write the narrative. I'll sign it. Just don't end me. I stood there, watching the woman who once called me wallpaper now sitting in the dirt of her own story. And for a moment, I wanted to press play on the recording again. Let her hear what it sounds like to bury herself. But I didn't. I sat down, looked her in the eye, and quietly said, I forgive you. She sobbed, and I let her. Not because she deserved peace, but because I did. Because I wanted the war to end without turning me into her. She stayed on the floor. I stood and walked to the kitchen, poured myself water, and looked out the window at the city I'd once walked through like a ghost. I wasn't a ghost anymore. She was. And as she sat there, shaking, drowning in everything she created, I asked her one final question. The only one that mattered. What would you have done in my place?